Welcome to the Hazard Class Podcast. This is the podcast where I get to ask my stupid questions to some of the smartest people in and around the world of emergency services. My guest this week is a firefighter paramedic whose social media following and views stack up into the millions due to the wild success of his short-form comedy videos and memes, which highlight the lighter side of emergency response. Today, we're going to discuss the process of finding humor in the hard, perhaps get to know the man behind the memes. It's my pleasure to chat with the Salty Paramedic. Welcome. Thank you for joining me.
Hey, no problem, man. Glad to be here.
Yeah. Can I call you Mr. Salty? Does that work?
Yeah, whatever. Salty, whatever you want to do.
Salty. Okay. Let's go. Mr. Salty. So the way this show rolls is that we spin our wheel of stupid questions. We set the stage that asking questions is a good thing, especially if you can point them at the right people. So with that, we'll pop into that segment and we'll see what you get today. So it's time to spin the wheel of stupid questions. Let's see what we get today. It's always something dumb. Okay. Would you rather fight a chicken-sized man? Would you rather fight a man-sized chicken or 20 chicken-sized men?
It's got to be 20 chicken-sized men. I mean, they come up to my ankles, I can just kick them away. Very, very easy.
Yeah, I mean, but you do have the intellect of a bunch of men. They could coordinate potentially. A chicken's dumb, but man, a man-sized chicken would really be something to...
That'd be something to see for sure, man.
Yeah.
Wow. What a question.
That's a terrifying thing. A 6-foot tall chicken, that's a dinosaur, basically.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll get through it. So tell me a little bit about the man behind the meme, right? So you started as, hopefully a child, I can imagine, right? And then, and now you became a fireman. And now you decided to grow an online presence. How's that happen?
So I'll just start from the beginning. My dad, he was a firefighter, career firefighter. So I grew up around the Firehouse. That's all I knew. That's all I knew I wanted to be ever since I was little. I started off as a junior firefighter when I was 15 years old. Did trainings and stuff up until I was 18. I became a volunteer for a few months before I went off to college. I got my bachelor's degree in fire science. Came back while I was in college, met my wife, got married. Been married to her for 13 years now. I got hired on my full-time department in 2016. I've been there ever since. Got my paramedic there. Actually, going into the fire service, I had no intention of getting my paramedic. They kind of needed them, and they offered to send me to class. I said, what the heck? So I ended up liking it. Been a paramedic for almost 8 years now. And fast forward, I've got 3 kids. My youngest daughter was born in December of last year, so I was kind of bored at the hospital just because it's a baby. She sleeps all the time. So I was always the guy that made memes and Photoshop stuff at work. So I was like, I'm going to start posting these memes and kind of make an online account. And the name, the Salty Paramedic, just came into my head. I made Instagram in January and it kind of took off. So that's where I'm at right now.
Man, so it's funny you say that you're the guy around the department that makes the memes, because that tends to be my role in the department. Most of my memes I can't share online. So you did a good job of managing, making things at least semi-presentable for the general public. That's kind of a funny thing in the fire service that, what do you think is the correlation between that kind of like off color humor and like dark humor that just kind of seems to get, the fire service and the emergency services, going?
It's relatable stuff. And I know it's bad to say some of that dark humor because a lot of the people, that's not in our field, they don't understand it. Mm-hmm. But, these type of things, I'll get messages from guys all the time. Man, you've really helped me out. I had a bad run and watching your videos is just, improve my mood, and that really means a lot to me. So I'm just trying to not cross that line and make them too dark, but still make relatable content.
Yeah. So, as someone that's trying to build a following, build those podcasts up and stuff, like what was that process like when you started really getting crazy traction? All of a sudden it's got, from a couple hundred to a couple thousand. Now you have videos with millions of views and stuff. It's like, what the heck was that like?
Yeah. I mean, starting off, I didn't post videos with myself at all. I just made, whether they be movie scenes, TV shows, whatever. And I posted those and they started gaining traction. I started getting a lot of followers. So I'm like, well, I had a decision to make. Am I going to stay faceless or, commit? And I committed and kind of glad I did, It's to the point I went on an Alaskan cruise and I got recognized by 2 people. So that was kind of wild. Yeah.
Yeah. What did your wife think of that? Your very niche fame.
Tell you what, she loves it. She's very, very supportive. She's giving me ideas for videos all the time. One of the video ideas she gave me actually almost at like 2 million views right now.
Oh wow!
A week or 2 ago. So she's a great help. She loves it.
Yeah. What's that process like? Do you have kind of a formal process or like a schedule or anything like that, or is it really just like off the top of the head? This is what we want to do, or are you scheduled out for I don't know, weeks or months in advance that you have stuff you want to do?
Yeah. I mean, I heavily use the Notes app on my iPhone. I can be just sitting on the toilet and come up with an idea. I'm going to jot it down. I've got ideas in my Notes app, and just whenever I feel like recording them, I'll pull out my iPhone. That's what I use to record. And, the majority of my time, the videos don't take long at all to make. I make a few skits, that between editing and stuff, that'll take maybe 30 minutes, but they're all fairly quick.
What was that process like? I assume you came into that without any background in video editing or photo editing or anything like that. You just decided, hey, all right, I better learn how to use CapCut or whatever you're using,
Yeah. So, I mean, growing up, I was pretty technology savvy and everything, but as far as, the editing software and everything, like you said, CapCut, just watch YouTube videos, tutorials, and I'm learning stuff every day, new things to apply. And, I'll just hopefully keep getting better and better.
Yeah. What's the reception at your department? I know from someone that kind of, putting myself out there doing a podcast, it's mixed reviews sometimes. What was the reception at your department?
It took a little bit, but I think now we're to the point now where most of the guys are like, okay, that's pretty cool. I've had guys leave my department and go to big departments like Nashville, and they'll tell me that, hey, all the guys down there love you. They love your videos, and that's just cool to hear. So, at first I had guys, maybe making fun of me a little bit, but now I think they're all coming around. Yeah.
Well, that's the beauty of success, right? All of a sudden it goes from something that's, maybe not accepted to something that they're kind of admiring you for. But so let's get back away from the memes and back into the actual, stuff. So you are a firefighter paramedic. So do you work half the time on an ambulance, half the time on an engine? What's your actual shift look like?
So I recently got promoted to sergeant last year. So I'm primarily, in an engineer position. I'm still required to ride about 2 to 3 days a month on the ambulance. So I still get that ambulance time in, but majority of the time I'm driving the engine now.
Okay. And you, what kind of community do you serve? It's like rural, or it's like metropolitan, or what?
It's metropolitan. I mean, it's not huge, but it's a pretty big city compared to where I live at currently.
Okay, cool, man. And then, so you said your dad was in the fire service too.
Yep.
So you grew up, I imagine, going to the fire station all the time. What was that like, from the perspective of a kid watching that and then, aspiring to be that someday?
I mean, it was great because, I was able to really make sure that's what I wanted to do before I committed and, went to college for it and all that stuff, because I did a senior internship in high school where I spent half the day there with the guys. And it was a great time. My dad, when I was in high school, he was a captain at the time. So just seeing how that company officer operates, with his guys, and kind of becomes like a second family. It was really a good role model to have.
Now, with you having kids of your own, what's their interaction with the fire service?
Well, currently, both my boys, they talk about wanting to be a firefighter. I mean, that could change any time because they're 5 and 8. At 1 minute, they want to be a Ninja Turtle. So So yeah, I'm behind them 100% though.
Yeah. Do you think that the current state of, everyone's hurting, everyone's struggling inside the emergency services, right? Whether it be staffing or pay or whatever the thing might be. I have a son. I wanted to be a fireman. I don't know if I'm going to be able to convince him to do it, but I have my questions about this is the best career ever. I can't imagine myself doing anything else, but in 20 years when my kid's ready to make the plunge or something like that, is that something that comes into mind? It's something that I think about more than I, would have ever thought. As much as I love this job, I'm like, well, what's the state of this career going to be in 25 years or 20 years?
Oh yeah. I mean, absolutely. Things are constantly changing. I mean, my dad, he was able to retire at 20 years old. I'm now at a 25-year retirement. Some people complain about the retirement and other aspects of the job, but I'm going to stay hopeful that we have enough, young people in the profession to positively make a change and, talk to these people in charge. So, hopefully it'll be in a good spot when they get older.
So there's another thing that I saw recently kind of in your feed that I have a bunch of questions about, and that's the books, right? Let's talk children's books. I know you also do you have a book, PTSD management, something in that way? Yeah, Talk to me about the process of doing that, the decision to do it, and what you're hoping to get from it.
Yeah. So, growing up, I'm not going to lie, I was a big nerd. I did a lot of, writing short stories and all that stuff. I took a lot of creative writing classes as electives in college and all that stuff. So I always wanted to write. At one point for my anniversary with my wife, I actually wrote a book about our life and published it. But I had this idea. I came across a YouTube video where a children's book could be made very easily now with AI. And now a lot of authors are, pretty against that because the illustrators, I should say, because they spend a lot of time, illustrating pictures. But I was able to make children's books easy with AI. I was able to write them myself, write the story myself. I just used the AI to generate the images. And I've published 3 so far. I've got 2 more in the works. And I'm using all the proceeds currently to help buy Christmas presents for underprivileged kids. And I'm almost up to $650 raised right now, within a few days. So it's great. And at the meantime, some kids are going to have books, and I make them educational. Each one's going to, tell stories about what you do as a firefighter, what you do as a EMT. And, it's really cool. They actually came in the mail the other day, and having those physical copies, I mean, they look pretty legit, and it's a good feeling. And, but as far as the other book goes, I had an idea. This was months ago, and I finally started working on it a few weeks ago. And, it's essentially first responders mental health playbook. You're going to read it and hopefully get an understanding of how I coped with these bad runs we've had over the years, and dealing with family life and juggling everything else in between. It's not a end all be all, but it's just in my perspective what's going to help. I'm almost through chapter 3 right now. I'm hoping to be done within a few months. I'm a pretty fast writer. But I'm just hoping it can help people. So it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, that's great. So let's talk about that a little bit. I think that the PTSD and the PTSD management, narrative in the fire service is very varied depending on who you talk to. It seems like people inside the firehouse have one idea of how we should be dealing with this, and then people in the offices or in HR, whoever, have another idea. I can speak for my crew. I know that the relationships that we have with each other is one of the things that is the best PTSD management tool, right? Just keeping it in the house, whether it is staying up a little bit late after a run and chatting it out or whatever it might be. What's your thoughts on, that?
So like you, my crew, we're able to rely on each other and talk to each other after those runs. And that's a good thing to have, make it relatable, guys that's been through it. Also, my department, we're pretty young right now. We've got a lot of, ideas and everything. They've started instituting critical stress debriefings after these hard runs, where they get the sheriff's department, police department, anybody else involved on the scene there to talk about it and just talk it over. And, I had a hard EMS run about a year or 2 ago, and we had one of those, and it really did help. So I like the direction we're going as a department.
Yeah. And, that I think that's really important, especially for people of influence to, make that message heard and say, it's okay to, not be okay, and it's okay to have a hard run, but we have to have some sort of, plan for what we do when things are a little bit sideways for us.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's great that you're working on that. And I imagine it'll be just as relatable as your other content for sure. So let's talk paramedicine. So you went to medic school. I assume you got hired as a EMT?
No, I actually didn't have my EMT yet. I got hired and they sent me right through EMT class. It was 3 months. And then I got my EMT, and a month later, they were sending me to medic class. So it was kind of quick.
Holy cow. Yeah. And so prior to that, you had never worked on an ambulance? You had done the fire academy stuff, or Fire Explorer?
So fun fact, I'm dropping an exclusive right now. For all you people that's failed National Registry. When I was 16 years old and in that junior program, I was able to take an EMT class. I was wanting to get it out of the way and done. Mm-hmm. I was a stupid high school kid. I took the class, passed the class, and then I had to wait till I was 18 to take national. Oh, wow. Didn't study, failed the first time. I said, oh, well, I'm going to college. So I failed, the first time in RMT, and I had to take a new class.
So you went to college. So I'll drop another exclusive. People that know me well know this, but so I actually went to college for fire science too, but I didn't have much guidance. So I actually went to school for 2.5 years and didn't get an associate's degree because I didn't know that I was supposed to take classes other than the fire classes. I had investigator 1, 2, 3, inspector 1, 2, 3, and then I got to the end and I went and met with an advisor, and I was like, I've been taking class for a while. When do I get a degree? And they were like, they looked at my transcript and they're like, who did this? Why you haven't taken any other classes? And so it's kind of funny. I have more than enough credits to have an associate's degree in fire science, but I don't have a degree because I'm an idiot and didn't actually take any of the classes that I needed. How do you think that experience in college formed you? And do you think it was a beneficial experience? I know that sometimes people go back and forth on whether the college experience prepping for the fire service is important or not.
I'm going to keep it real with you 100%. It just gave me a bunch of student loan debt. The only positive was I met my wife. It was totally not what I expected. I didn't even touch a fire truck. It was just a bunch of stuff that I'm not going to currently use. It's good if I want to be a chief one day. I got that piece of paper. Hopefully one day I can use it. I'm glad for the experience in some aspects, but I could still have the job I have now if I didn't go to college. So it's just that it's that decision you have to make as a person. You got to weigh the pros and cons. I kind of rushed into it.
Yeah. So you went to a more traditional, liberal arts school? I went to a technical college, so we did do all the actual hands-on stuff.
I went to a state college, and they're kind of big. I went to Eastern Kentucky University. They're kind of big for their fire program, but they didn't actually have any of the hands-on stuff that you were hoping to get. No. I dabbled in a little bit of arson investigation, but other than that was kind of the only cool aspect.
That's crazy to think that you could have a program that's the fire service is so based on hands-on skills essentially, right? And to think that you could just try to do it all with your brain is kind of backwards, I would think. But I think that's interesting because people now have options getting in the fire service, but depending on where you live, you have less, right? You have less options. Because when I was living where I was living, it was 2 full-time departments. I didn't really have a foot into the door there, and so my only option to get behind a fire hose was to go to tech school. Until I was able to move out from my parents' house and start a life. We ended up moving across the city to join a paid-on-call department. We uprooted my wife, and my newborn across the town to take a paid-on-call job that eventually turned into a second paid-on or a part-time job. And then eventually now the full-time job I have. But the pathways to the fire service is interesting, I think, because, there's really a lot of options. And if you're desperate for the career, I think a lot of people are, I always just try to tell people, just one foot in front of the other. If you really want it, you'll find a way there.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. So as we kind of, move towards wrapping, what's the hope with the channel? What's the hope with the things that you're doing? Obviously, you're doing children's book to raise money. You're doing this PTSD book so that we can, have a new view of this and maybe a new kind of way to handle these scenes. What are you hoping to do with this kind of influence that you have?
A few things. Mainly, one is I just want to bring awareness to the community. People not involved in our profession. I'm not going to lie when I say a few videos I've gotten some hate when people that's not in our profession don't understand my video and they kind of take it hard and like, you're heartless, blah blah blah. I'm hoping to raise awareness in that aspect. And then also I'm trying to, make a difference. I want to keep raising money for different charities. A few months ago, shaved off my mustache. I was able to raise over $500 for Tunnel to Towers Foundation.
Awesome.
And then, through these children books and everything, I just want to make a positive impact, even though, some of my videos might be negative. I just want people to know at the end of the day, I love my job and I would never change it. I just try to make relatable content.
Yeah. Well, that brings up an interesting thing. Do you think that, I would imagine the vast majority of the people that are taking in your content are inside the emergency response world in some way, shape, or form. Mm-hmm. Does it bother you when someone outside the world, criticizes it? Or are you able to just sit back and go, you don't get it because you're not part of it?
Yeah. I'm able to sit back. I get some hate comments and that's fine. I'm not going to respond to them, and hopefully they'll be able to understand it in the end. But yeah. I think that's a good a good mindset to have, and stay focused on the idea that the people that relate to your content are the people that it's for, right? Yeah.
And you don't have to let it be bogged down by the rest of the world. Yeah, man. Well, I really appreciate the time you coming on, talking, letting us see a little bit the man behind the meme. I want to encourage people to get the books because anything we can do to raise money for the people that need it, it's worth using our platforms for. So give me kind of a little bit of where they can find you, where they can subscribe, where they can follow, where they can get the books in particular, for sure.
Yeah, so you can find me on all the social media pages at the Salty Paramedic. There should be a link in my bio on all these. If you click it at the very top, it'll show you my children's book. Click that, it'll take you straight to Amazon. Or if you search the Salty Paramedic on Amazon, they should pop up as well. Like I said, there's 3 available right now. There should be 2 available within the week. I'm going to be raising money till December, and hopefully, I can sponsor a bunch of kids for Christmas, and I'll keep you all updated on that.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much for the time, Mr. Salty. I appreciate it. Follow him, like his videos. They're great content. And more importantly, get the books and raise money for the people that matter the most, right? Thank you.
Yep. Thank you, sir.